If you've been going to the gym consistently, but you still feel like you look the same, this might be why. Hi, I'm Sian Charles and welcome back to my channel. I offer realistic health and fitness advice for real women with busy lives. And I really hope you find this video helpful today. If you're going to the gym or exercising regularly, but you're not seeing any physical changes, it's not necessarily that you're not working hard enough. It's not that you're not disciplined enough. It's probably because you don't have a plan. So let me ask you something. Do you have a structured plan with your training? Or are you just showing up, whether it's to home workouts or gym workouts, and hoping for the best? Because one of the biggest differences that I see with women who make consistent progress and women who feel stuck despite putting in the effort is whether they're following something structured. Now, first of all, let me just say, any exercise is better than none. Moving your body regularly is amazing for your physical and your mental health, no matter what it looks like. And that is the main thing we need to keep in mind here. We are busy women. It's already a struggle to fit in training sometimes. So if you are moving your body regularly, then be proud of that, because that will be making a difference to your health. But movement alone is not the same as seeing and feeling that progression that you might really want to see. And what I see all of the time is women showing up to the gym, or they're doing a home workout and they're doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Maybe they're using machines, maybe they're using some dumbbells, maybe they're going to a class here and there, or maybe they're following just some random workouts that they found online, or maybe they're lifting the same weights week in, week out without ever really pushing themselves any further because they don't really know how to do that. And trust me, I've been there, and so have many of the women that I work with. When you're in this cycle, a few months can pass you by until you start wondering, why do I still look the same? Why am I not getting stronger? Why am I not lifting heavier weights? Why do I feel like nothing is changing? And the answer usually isn't that you're lazy or incapable. Like I already mentioned, you're already making the effort to exercise every week, and that is amazing. But it's just that random effort and random workouts tend to produce random, if very little, results. When you first start exercising regularly, don't get me wrong, you will see really good progress. If you're new to the gym, if you're new to lifting weights, you will notice that you do start to feel stronger and fitter and potentially see some really good physical change at the beginning. But what happens when you don't have a plan to follow to progress you further is that progress does plateau. So you might feel like you're still making the effort that you were at the beginning, but progress feels very minuscule. And I totally understand that that is really frustrating. If you don't have a clear structure with your training, you have no way of progressing properly and consistently. When you do follow a plan, a few really important things happen. Firstly, you know what you're working towards, so that there's intention behind each session. Secondly, you can track your progress. You can see that you're lifting heavier, moving better, controlling your reps more effectively. And thirdly, your progressive overload, which is what we all need to see progress, is built into that plan. And progressive overload just simply means asking your body to do a little bit more over time. That might be increasing weight, improving technique, adding reps, slowing down tempo, or increasing intensity in another structured way. That is what forces your body to adapt, and it's those adaptations that we are forced to make which allow us to see progress. If you're doing the same weights, the same exercises at the same intensity for months and months, your body has no reason to change. Don't get me wrong, it will maintain a good level of strength, a good level of fitness if you are showing up week after week. And that's why I don't ever want to put you down for just showing up and getting something done. And sometimes that is what we need. We need to show up, get something done, and not stress about it being our best ever workout. But you just have to keep in mind that your body will adapt very quickly to the changes that you initially made, and then your progress will plateau. So if you're frustrated with feeling like your progress has plateaued and you're putting in this effort every week and you're not really getting to where you want to be, that is where having a plan and a program that is structured, that has progressive overload in, will really make such a big difference. Other benefits of a plan is that it removes the guesswork. It removes that questioning of what should I do today, which if you're doing random workouts at home or at the gym, you likely are having that conversation with yourself every single time you show up to get a session done. Having a plan also allows you to identify what is actually holding you back in terms of you making your progress. Is it your strength? Is it your confidence? Is it your consistency? Is it your recovery? If you are following a structured program and you're noticing that progress isn't going quite in the direction you want it to, you are able to highlight the areas that potentially need more work much more easily, rather than your workouts being random and you having no idea what needs tweaking. When you're winging it, essentially, you can't really diagnose the issue. When you're following something structured that has been written by a coach that understands what they're doing and what your requirements are, you can adjust things intelligently rather than emotionally, which I think is what we all need in probably several aspects of our life, but with training specifically, that is going to be really, really helpful. And this actually doesn't just apply to training, it applies to nutrition too. A lot of people say they want improved energy, they want fat loss, they want improved body composition, but there's no clear strategy behind their eating habit. Many people often say, I'll be good this week, I'll see how this goes, I'm going to be healthier. But what does that actually mean in practice? Recently, I hosted a food planning workshop where we talked about having a repeatable strategy with your food each week. And this wasn't to add stress or rigidity, but to actually reduce that feeling of overwhelm and have some flexibility, but also consistency when it comes to your nutrition. Because when you don't have a framework and you don't have a plan, every single day becomes a series of decisions. And I totally get it. I've got a lot going on in my life too. And you can definitely get decision fatigue. If you can take that decision fatigue away from your training, from your nutrition, things do get a lot easier to stick to. If you can avoid those constant questions of what's for dinner tonight? What should I have for lunch? Should I have a snack? Am I going over my calories? That constant decision making is exhausting. I bet that you have so many decisions that you have to make in your day-to-day life anyway, that you could definitely do with reducing a few, and being organized and having a plan makes such a difference to that. And instead, what I want to do is encourage you to keep things simple. So if we're talking about nutrition, for example, planning your evening meals for the week, having 2 or 3 breakfast options that you have on rotation, and maybe 2 or 3 lunch options that you have on rotation as well. Keep a structure of protein with every meal, veggies or salad with your lunch and dinner, and aim to build balanced meals most of the time. Don't stress if some meals aren't as balanced as you'd like them to be. Go for consistency over perfection, which is a tagline that I tell my clients every single day. And that's it, to be honest. It's not about perfection, it's about repeatability, it's about reducing that stress, reducing that overwhelm, and having some sort of plan, guideline, framework that you can follow to help reduce stress, to help reduce the decision fatigue, to help you make progress in a way which feels manageable and which you are able to be consistent with. And like I've said, when you have a plan in place, you reduce stress, you reduce decision fatigue, and you make consistency so much easier, which is what we all want, right? And I really want to get across the message that structure doesn't create restriction. And in fact, I would go ahead and say that structure actually creates freedom. When you know what your workouts are for the week, you don't waste mental energy debating whether you should train or what you should do. And honestly, that is such a game changer. When you know roughly how your food is going to be structured that week, you don't panic when the weekend comes around because you worry that you haven't been on it during the week. You can be flexible within a framework, and that is the key. That is the key to leading I'm not going to say stress-free, because I know we have lots of stresses that impact our life that are out of our control, but these things are in your control. Having some consistency and structure with your training and nutrition can really help reduce that overwhelm and help you see progress in a way which feels sustainable in your real life. Inside my coaching program, Thrive, that's exactly the sort of advice and guidance I give my clients. A structured program with progressive overload, clear guidance on what to do and how to do it, and how to progress, and simple, sustainable nutrition strategies that fit around their real life. Because if this doesn't fit in with your life, there's no point in you doing it, because what happens is you stick to it for a little bit of time, see progress, yes, but then you can't maintain that progress. And it really is maintenance that is most people's problems. They can see results when they're motivated and they can stick to a plan, but if that plan doesn't fit their life, they can't stick to it for very long, and then they end up feeling like they're going backwards, and maybe then into that sort of yo-yo dieting or on-off relationship with good nutrition and exercise over and over again. I've been there too, and so many of the women that I've worked with have, which is why I wanted to record this video today, because it doesn't have to be that way. I do not coach my clients with extremes. We don't do random workouts. I don't just tell them to try harder. I give them direction, and direction is what makes such a big difference. And actually, on that note, if you are feeling a little bit lost with your training, I'm going to be hosting, I'm just putting it together right now, a live online strength training session really soon. It will be on Zoom. I'll be hosting it from my home studio gym, and I'll be walking you through technique tips, common mistakes I see all the time when it comes to strength training, and the biggest coaching lessons that I've learned from the 8 years I've worked as a personal trainer specialising in strength training for women. This is going to be a really practical, really helpful workshop. You'll leave knowing how to lift better, how to push yourself to an appropriate level to see progress, and how to actually train with intention rather than guessing and making it up as you go along. If this sounds like something that you'd be interested in, I'm going to leave a link in the description box of this video where you can register your interest. And as soon as I finalise the details, I'll email you everything you need to know to sign up. So if you're currently feeling stuck, ask yourself honestly, am I lacking effort or am I lacking direction? Because structured, consistent effort where you're following a plan, a framework, a program really does change everything. If this resonated with you, if you found some of my advice today helpful, then please let me know in the comments. I would honestly love to hear how you guys are finding my videos, whether I'm answering questions that you've been wondering about, whether there are other things you'd like me to discuss. Please let me know, because I would love to get some feedback and then make sure I'm creating content which is useful for you guys going forward. I'll also link the recording of the food planning workshop that I mentioned earlier in the description box as well, so you can have a little watch and get some good advice and tips of how you can plan your food shop going forward in a way which feels really manageable and takes away a lot of the stress and overwhelm that people get from focusing on improving their nutrition. And of course, I would love to see some of you at my strength training workshop, so definitely register your interest if you would like to know more. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope this was a helpful video, and I would love to see you back soon. I'll see you at the next one.